friends, welcome to our mathematics program for grade 8. Today we are going to look at inequalities. Actually, the chapter inequalities has been divided into 2 videos, so today that's the first video. What are we going to learn? Well, today we're going to see what are inequalities and how to represent inequalities on a number line. So let's start. Inequalities in real life. Okay, I'm sure that you have seen inequalities everywhere, but you're not actually aware that these are inequalities. Let's see. This speed limit, you've seen that while your parents were driving. Now, the speed limit sign indicates that a maximum speed of 60 km per hour is allowed. What does that mean? That means that you can't go beyond 60 km per hour, right? So how do we write that? The speed, so the maximum speed should be less than or equal to 60. You've seen that sign? That's what we call the inequality sign, all right? So it is less than or equal to. Let's take another example. Now, in Mauritius, we know that the age limit to possess a driving license is 18 years old. What does that mean? It means that when you are under 18 years old, you can't have a driving license. So, for you to be able to get a driving license, your age should be greater or equal to 18 years old. So, that's the inequality sign which denotes greater or equal to. We take another example. Let's take another example. During certain flights, if your cabin baggage exceeds a mass of 7 kilograms, you might have to pay additional charges. How do we write that? So, if the mass is greater than 7 kilograms, you need to pay more. So, that's the inequality sign which denotes greater than. Now, let's have a quick recap. So, the first one is less than. See? The second one, that's the inequality. It denotes greater than. This is less than or equal to and greater or equal to. Let's take an example. We write the following statements using less, greater, less or equal to, or greater or equal to. Part A, the height h centimeter of Emma is less than 150 centimeters. Part B, the mass m kilogram of Sunil is greater than 72 kilograms. Part C, the speed limit x kilometer per hour on Queen Street is 50 kilometers per hour. Part D, y is greater or equal to 44. Now let's take the first one. The height h centimeter of Emma is less than 150 centimeters. How do we write that? Well, the height is h, so that will be h, the inequality sign for less, and 150 centimeters. Part B, the mass m kilo of Sunil is greater than 72 kilograms. So m will be greater than 72 kilograms. Part C, the speed limit x kilometer per hour on Queen Street is 50 kilometers per hour. So it will be x, which is less than or equal to. You need to be careful here. It's less than or equal to 50 km per hour. Part D, y is greater or equal to 44. So that's y, the inequality sign for greater or equal to, and 44. We move on. Now, inequalities on a number line. Inequalities can be represented on a number line. How do we do that? Let's take an example. Represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. The first one is x less than 4. Part B, x greater than minus 3. Part C, x less than or equal to 2. And part D, x greater than or equal to minus 1. So for the first one, it's x less than 4. How do we do it? What does that mean, x less than 4? It means that x can take values less than 4, but be careful, it should not be equal to 4. Right? So how do we show that on a number line? You put a circle on the 4, right? And then you move to the left. Why do we move to the left? Because it is less than 4. Okay? And be careful here, we have not shaded the circle. Second one, x is greater than minus 3. So what does that mean? It means that x can take values greater than minus 3, but it cannot be equal to minus 3. Why can't it be equal to minus 3? Because you don't have the equal sign. It's greater than minus 3. So how do we show that? On a number line, you put a circle on minus 3. That's right. And then you move to the right. Just be careful here. That circle is not shaded. Let's take another example. Here we have x is less than or equal to 2. Less than or equal to 2. I say it again. So, what does that mean? It means that x can take values less than 2, but it can also be equal to 2. So, how do we show that? Well, you put your circle, but this time you shade the circle. Why do we shade it? Because 2 is included. And then you move to the left. Now, x is greater than or equal to minus 1. So it means that x can take values greater than minus 1 and it can also be equal to minus 1. Now you're expert in that, so we put the circle, the shaded one, on minus 1 and then you move to the right. Example 3. Represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. Part A, x is greater than minus 1 but less than 2. Part B, x is greater or equal to 1 and less than 4. Part C, x is greater than minus 2 but less than or equal to 3. Part D, x is greater or equal to minus 4 and less than or equal to 0. Right, so for the first part, how are we going to tackle that? We know that x lies between minus 1 and 2. What does that mean? It means that x can take values between minus 1 and 2, but be careful, minus 1 and 2 are not included, right? So if you want to represent that on a number line, the two circles here that you can see, they are not shaded. And you join them. That's all. Simple. We take another example now. Part B, x is greater or equal to 1 but less than 4. Now what does that mean? It means that x can take values between 1 and 4. You should include 1 but not 4. Why? Because in the inequality sign you don't have the equal, right? So when you represent it on a number line, the circle on the 1 is shaded, but the circle on the 4 is not shaded. And you're done. Part C, x is greater than minus 2 and less than or equal to 3. So this means that x can take values between minus 2 and 3, So you will include 3, but not minus 2. Now, if you're not including minus 2, it means that the circle on the minus 2 should not be shaded, but you shade the circle on the 3 and you join them. But D, x is greater or equal to minus 4, but less than or equal to 0. So, in this inequality, we can see that you've got greater or equal to both, right? So x can take values between minus 4 and 0, and you will include both minus 4 and 0. So these two circles should be shaded. Right? Now, let's see a few exercises for you to practice. You need to represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. The second one, here also you are requested to represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. Number 3, again, represent each of the following inequalities on a number line. That's a link for you where you can go and see how to graph inequalities on a number line. That's for you to practice. So friends, we have reached the end of our first program on inequalities. We have seen together what are inequalities, some real life problems, and how to represent inequalities on a number line. Alright? So now, for you to get additional practice, right, you need to work through the exercises in your textbook. Until we meet again, it's goodbye.